Biodynamic agriculture is one of a handful of environmentally friendly farming methods currently in use today. It is also one of the most difficult to understand because of all the preparations and other practices employed. In this video, we'll look at biodynamic farming and what it is. So what exactly is biodynamic farming? Well, in a nutshell, it is holistic farming practices that treats a farm as a singular biosphere. The soil, plants, and livestock and everything else involved in a farm is one single organism, and everything in biodynamics works towards creating harmony among all of these subjects. But before we delve any further, let's go back to the beginning. Rudolf Steiner, an Austrian-born scholar and some say psychic, is credited with being the father of biodynamic farming. Steiner gave a series of lectures in response to struggling farmers who were looking for answers to their poor soils and dying livestock in the mid-1920s. These lectures were based loosely on theosophy, a practice which Steiner founded years earlier, which is a kind of melding of science and spirituality. It is in these lectures where the elements of biodynamic farming were first introduced. His teachings were so profound and outside of the known boundaries for farming at the time that word quickly spread. Today, biodynamic farming is used in over 50 countries throughout the world. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, biodynamic farming is not easy to understand. It involves phases of the moon, rainwater that is swirled in clockwise and counterclockwise motions, but most importantly, it features 9 preparations that really form the core of the biodynamic concept. These preparations are meant to restore balance and harmony to the cosmic and physical forces. Let's take a look at each one. The first is preparation 500 with horn manure. This preparation involves female cow horns and filling them with fresh cow manure, then burying them about 15 to 23 inches in the ground in the fall. After 6 months, they are dug up in the spring and used as a natural fertilizer. This fertilizer is used in the spring and fall to stimulate root growth and biologic activity in the soil. Next up is preparation 501 with horn silica. Here, clear quartz is ground into a fine powder, then mixed with spring water to form a dough-like paste. This paste is packed into cow horns and buried into the ground in the spring, then dug up in the fall. The mixture is then dried in the sunlight and stored in a clear glass jar. When used, it is mixed with water and sprayed onto the leaves of plants. It supposedly acts as an antifungal spray, but it also helps to capture the energy of the sun's rays to bring in elements of flavor and aroma. The remaining preparations are exclusively used to enhance biodynamic compost piles. The first of these preparations is preparation 502 with yarrow blossoms. Yarrow blossoms are picked, then stuffed into stag's bladders. The stuffed bladder is then hung in the sun during the summer. In the fall, the bladders are taken down and buried in the ground for the winter. They are finally retrieved in the spring and added to biodynamic compost piles. This preparation refreshes and strengthens the soil. The next preparation is preparation 503 with chamomile blossoms. Young chamomile flowers are picked, then dried in indirect sunlight. The gently dried flowers are stuffed into a cow's intestine and buried in the soil in the spring, then lifted in the fall. This preparation connects with calcium that helps to prevent premature fruiting. It also contains trace amounts of sulfur which can protect the plant from disease. Then there's preparation 504 with stinging nettles. Stinging nettles are harvested just before they flower, then buried in a clay pot or peat moss in healthy soil in the fall and allowed to sit for a whole year, where it is then dug up the following year. The stinging nettle preparation is considered one of the greatest stimulators for plant growth. Then there's preparation 505 with oak bark. A small amount of oak bark is collected, then chopped up until it reaches a crumb-like texture. It is then put into the brain cavity of a sheep, goat, or cow skull and buried in a watery environment like a swamp or near a place where there is rain runoff. This is done in the fall, then dug up in the spring. This oak bark preparation adds calcium, a valuable nutrient to the soil. Next is preparation 506 with dandelion flowers. Dandelion flowers are collected in the morning, then dried and stuffed into a cow's mesentery. This is the membrane that attaches the intestine to the abdominal wall. This preparation is buried under the ground in the fall during a descending moon. I was told to think of a pregnant woman. When the pregnancy grows out, that is ascending or the waxing moon, and when it grows in, that is the descending or waning moon. The preparation is then dug up in the spring and allowed to dry before adding it to the compost pile. The dandelion preparation breathes life into the soil and strengthens the plant's ability to collect nutrients and to sustain itself. Next, we have preparation 507 with valerian flowers. Valerian flowers are harvested, then ground with a mortar and pestle, then diluted with water in a 1:4 ratio. This mixture is then placed in a lidded clear glass jar and left in the sunlight for a week before straining. It is then mixed with spring water at 10 milliliters to 13 liters of water, then sprinkled over the compost pile. This preparation is strong in phosphorus and acts as a protective blanket for the compost pile. The last and final preparation is preparation 508, equisetum or horsetail. The horsetail plants are harvested in the spring, then brought to a boil in water, then simmered for 30 minutes. The tea is allowed to sit for 3 days. This preparation is sprinkled on the soil around the plants. It protects against rot and fungal disease. For those of you who are still confused or skeptical, I want you to know that I spent a weekend with Paul Dolan a number of years back. Paul is considered one of the top experts in the United States on biodynamic vineyard farming, and the experience was eye-opening. We went through the entire process, and he described the benefit of each step. Every step went towards strengthening the biosphere and returning the natural environment to one of harmony, both in the cosmic and material world. At the end of my stay, we hiked to the top of the hill behind his property. At the top, you could clearly see his vineyard and another vineyard adjacent to his, which is owned by another well-known quality producer, and they use synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. It was clearly evident that Dolan's vineyard was full of life. The birds, insects, and all else swarmed the vineyard, while the adjacent vineyard, it was still green and fertile, seemed lifeless. It was almost sterile. It was kind of eerie. Now, I'm not going to go on record and say biodynamically farmed grapes are superior to those that are grown using synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. I have tasted excellent examples from both. But from a standpoint of environmentally friendly methods, from what I have personally witnessed, biodynamic farming is the way to go for me. Now, before we end, I just want you to know that one of our viewers pointed out that they never see me drinking on the videos. So I just wanted to let you know that here I am drinking a wonderful Chablis Premier Cru from the Momont Vineyard. It is a beautiful wine. It has some really textbook aromas of apple, pear, and lime and lemon, with that telltale sign of oyster shell and saline notes in this. But it's an absolutely delicious wine. So, cheers to you. Now, if you like my video, I hope you'll press the like icon. And if you'd like to see more videos just like this, I hope you'll press subscribe. Until next time, peace out.